Yes, hello, welcome back to the Rugby League Forecast podcast for my round 9 tips. Now, the last 2 weeks, I got 6 out of 8 in round 7, and I got 7 out of 8 last week. It has been a fantastic last couple of weeks, and if I may say so, it's been quite rare to be tipping so well this point of the season. I find the hardest. But hey, when you get over 6 out of 8, that's what you want, tipsters. You want at least 6 out of 8 every week if you're going to win your tipping competitions. Anything under that, look, 5 out of 8, especially early on in the season, you could probably, accept that. Anything under 5 out of 8, you need to pick up the wins, especially this time of the year. It gets very hard around the origin period as well. I thought before I get started in my tips, I just got this. My uncle Craig bought this for me about 24 years ago. The 2002 Rugby League album, Daily Telegraph, and I was just flicking through this earlier as soon as I walked in about 15 minutes ago before I jot down some notes. I was just looking through some of the old sides here. Look at this. Here we go. We'll go Penrith. Some of these older players. Luke Prittis there. It's quite old, this album. I've kept it ever since I was about 7 years old. The Roosters won the premiership in this year. Brad Fittler, Simon Benetti, Ryan Cross, Luke Ricketson, Justin Hodges. And then the Warriors are next to them. These two sides made the grand final that year. Ricky Stewart, a young coach right there. His first season as an NRL coach, 24 years ago now he's been in the game as a head coach. So that's pretty good. I'm trying to look for Manly here. Where are the Seagulls? 2002. So that was the Northern Eagles. Manly came back in 2003. Oh, I can't find Manly. I'm freaking out. Where'd they go? It was a pretty dire year for Manly, 2002. Fuck, it was, man, the amount of games I was 6, 7 years old on the hill just watching the Northern Eagles get flogged. All right, we can't find Manly. Oh, here we go. Seagulls. Coach Peter Sharp. Northern Eagles, Robert Miles, Lenny Beckett. Who we got here? Tezessa Lavia, Nick Kosef, Albert Torrens, Nathan Long, Brendan Reeves, Mark Shipway, Jamie Goddard, and Ben McDougall. Gee, I loved that Northern Eagles jersey. That one not so much, but that home jersey, I actually quite liked it. This one here, that was a good jersey. I loved that. Mark Shipway, he was a good player off the bench. I do remember Mark Shipway. He was actually pretty decent. John Hopewadi, David Wesley, Jason Ferris was a young halfback back then, and then, of course, Peter Sharp was the coach. So there you go. 2002 Rugby League album. I've had this for so many years. And it's very special to me. Got a lot of rugby league albums. 2004, 2005, 2009, 2011. I just collected them for many years. But my uncle Craig gave me this one many years ago, and Mark Riddell, Willie Peters. Look at that, Willie Peters for the Dragons. There you go, the PNG coach. I didn't know he played for the Dragons. So you learn plenty of stuff looking back at these old. These old albums. I'll get straight into the tips now for round 9. I'll get started now. On Friday night is the first game of the NRL for this round. That is between the Bulldogs and the North Queensland Cowboys. That is on Friday, May the 1st at Accor Stadium at 6 p.m. Look, I'm going to tip the Doggies in this game. I think they're going to bounce back. I think they were very disappointing, as I think it's fair to say, against the Broncos. But I just have a sense that they're going to bounce back and win this game and possibly win it well. The Cowboys have won 5 from their last 6. And if the Cowboys win this, then they're a fair dinkum team and it should be taken seriously. But I think the Dogs at home, I think they'll be too good in this game. And I'm quietly confident on that. Maybe I'm too confident on it. That's dangerous. But I just Marcelo Montoya being dropped here. I can understand it after last week. Inari Tuala on the wing. He's a good defensive player as well. I just think they've got enough class. And Viliami Kikau is no doubt a big loss, but I'd say over the last few weeks he hasn't been in good form. Tili Tupanua, the way in which he can run onto a football. I always remember watching him at the Roosters hit a hole through a short ball from Luke Keary, and he was one of the best ball-playing second rowers in the game. I think he's going to be a real big inclusion for the Doggies starting in this game. If it was me, I would I would have a cheeky something on Satili Tupanua to score a couple of tries in this game. I think he's going to have a big game in this one. I don't bet, but if I just do tipping comps, but you know, if I still bet, I probably would have I would do that. And I'm glad I don't bet anymore. Shit, the amount of money I would have lost over the last couple of years. Especially the way my tipping went last year, still recovering from that. The following game, the first game Friday, the second game, sorry, Friday, 8 p.m. at Suncorp Stadium between the Dolphins and the Storm. I'm going to go Melbourne in this game. Now, I have tipped Melbourne. I put my hand up. I've tipped them the last 6 weeks. They hurt me last week. If they win last week, I get 8 out of 8. Of course, the first time since 1999 they lose and I don't get a full round. At the end of the day, hang on, we got a wasp in here. We got a wasp in the centre of excellence. Okay, we've got two wasps in here now. I'll just keep my eye out there. All right, back to the football. Dolphins and Melbourne. I'm going Melbourne here. I like the change that Bellamy's made to his back row. I like Atavalu Lasati starting in the back row. And I love Sean Blaw starting back in that 11 jersey. I think he's a starting second rower, Sean Blaw. I like Melbourne here. I'm really disappointed with the Dolphins this year. And if you watch this podcast from the beginning, when I started in early November, we spoke in the preseason about the Dolphins and how I think they're overhyped. And that was based on how poor they were defensively last year. One of the best attacking sides. In fact, I think they were the best attacking side last year in the competition. But defense let them down. And with the Dolphins, they remind me of sides like, the Cowboys and currently Cronulla, where they're happy to score more points than the other person, but defense isn't really the priority in the way they're playing at the moment. I think if the Dolphins are going to win this game, defense is going to do it. At some stage through the year, the Melbourne Storm will click. And I know I'm going to say this statement. A lot of people will disagree with me. I think the Melbourne Storm will still make the 8. I think they will bounce back. And that's coming from a Manly fan that genuinely doesn't like the Melbourne Storm. I think they will find a way to fight back. We remember round 12 last year, the Penrith Panthers were on the bottom of the ladder and they found a way to be 5 minutes away from a grand final. It is a long season and I genuinely believe Melbourne will turn it around this week. I think Melbourne get the win. So I've gone Canterbury in the first game and I've gone Melbourne in the second game Friday night to beat the Dolphins. And it's also players like Selwyn Cobbo. He needs to stop making errors. He reminds me of Manu Vatuvei, where they're so powerful, so damaging, so elite, so strong, so athletic. But at the end of the day, they have an error in them. And once Selwyn Cobbo and Tanner Boyd targeted him last week, and it was quite noticeable. It was obvious for everyone watching how many times Tanner Boyd just kept bombing it to that right corner where Selwyn Cobbo was, and put a bit of pressure on Cobbo. He's a 50-50 chance of catching the ball. So, once he fixes up those errors, I think that's going to go a long way into the Dolphins winning a few more games this year. The Dolphins have currently lost 4 games in a row, and the Melbourne Storm 6 in a row. So it is the Desperado Cup in this game. It's going to be a big win to whoever wins this game of football. And for me personally, this game is a game I'm really looking forward to of this round. This game and probably the Roosters and the Broncos. Now, really important to notice that Hugo Peel will be making his debut for the Melbourne Storm in the number 5 jersey, the young winger there. So congratulations to him. Xavier Coates expected to be back within the next couple of weeks. I understand they've missed Xavier Coates in attack. He's got his try-scoring ability, the way in which Jerome Hughes and Munster would kick to his sideline and the crossfield kick it to him. He'd jump up with his athleticism and his height. They'd score so many tries off those crossfield kicks. But one thing I've really noticed since he's been gone is they've missed him in defence massively on his wing. The way he could time a defensive defensive player, try-saving tackle. He knew when to rush up out of the line to save a try and to stop the opposition team from scoring. So for me, Xavier Coates has been as big as a loss as Eli Katoa, and I genuinely believe that. I think the two most. Oh, hang on. bang the desk here. The two most important defensive positions at the moment, in my opinion, would have to be the centre and the winger. It's so crucial with how consistently teams start to spread the ball out wide on third and fourth tackles, how consistently they do it in attack. It is so important that the centre and the winger get the timing right. They don't rush out of the line too quickly. They rush out, put pressure on when they need to. It's all about timing and numbers for those outside backs. So for the centre and the wingers, I think they're the most important defensive positions in the game. If you agree with me, disagree with me, let me know in the comments, because I'm absolutely more than willing to learn from you guys as well, and where you guys believe, what you guys think as well really matters to me in this podcast community, the Rugby League Forecast podcast. All right, I'm going to move on here to the first game of Super Saturday between the Gold Coast Titans and the Canberra Raiders. I am so sorry, Gold Coast Titans fans, but I think Canberra are going to bounce back and win this game. I just think they've got too much quality in this game, in their lineup. I think Hudson Young is still out. I understand that. Ata Mariota moving to the back row. I like that for the Canberra Raiders. I like that move. And Simi Sasangi back to the back row. I think they'll miss Sasangi's defence at centre. But in saying that, I really liked what I like Savelio Tamale back into the side, starting on the wing. I understand he had a shocker against South Sydney a couple of weeks ago. Beg your pardon. But Jed Stewart and Tamale, I thought, have done a good, decent job for Canberra when they've played over the last 12 months. Chris and Tomoko back in the centres. I thought Tomoko was one of Canberra's best last year, especially in attack last week for the Raiders against the Tigers. I like the Raiders in this one. I think they win. It's going to be a close game. I like the Titans in this game to score many points. I think it's going to be a high scoring game, and I think recent history in defence between these two sides would suggest that it will be a high-scoring game. Defensively, they haven't been overly too strong. I do love AJ Brimson back into the centres. Lockie Ilias, I think, has been pretty solid for the Titans starting in the halves. I think Curtis Moran, what he's done at front row for the Gold Coast Titans over the last 3 weeks since he's been starting with the number 8 on his back, has just suited the Titans. It's really been fantastic to see those smaller bodies and that speed in the middle of the ruck. Curtis Moran, I don't think he will. I think he'll have the 8 on his back for many, many years at the Gold Coast Titans. I think what he is doing is so underrated, and I genuinely don't think it's getting spoken about enough. Sammy Verrills at number 9 is doing a decent job for them as well. Philip Sammy has just announced that he will go to the Dragons in a couple of years, so good luck to him and congratulations to him. They have a damage inside. Big Tino at front row, lock. Is Chris Randall. He'll be starting in this game. He's got the 15 on his back in this game. I think Cooper Bye as well. I want to see Cooper Bye starting in the in the 13 jersey. I think when he started in the preseason challenge with that 13 on his back, he was just so incredible. I think no doubt he is the long-term lock forward and possible captain of this club after Tino. I think Cooper Bye is just so fantastic. Mo Fodawaker, I think he's been quiet the last 12 months. He's coming off the bench. He'll add huge impact off the bench. I think the Titans will play well in this game. I really do. But I just think Canberra will get the chocolates in the end. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'll be wrong. On this podcast, I don't pretend that I get everything right. I'm a rugby league fan. I'm a diehard rugby league fan. And I always think it's fair enough to put your hand up if you get it wrong. I'm not going to pretend I'm Einstein with rugby league, because I'm not, but I just love having an opinion on the game and doing my tips every week. To follow the greatest game of all is genuinely the best feeling in the world, as all of you watching this would know. All right, let's get to the second game of Super Saturday. This is between the Parramatta Eels and the Warriors. I'm going the upset here. I'm going Parramatta. I thought long and hard about this game. I thought the Warriors did well last week. It was a scrappy encounter against the Dolphins. I just think Parramatta, I was really impressed when Parramatta took on Manly, my beloved Manly Sea Eagles, last week on Sunday afternoon football. I was really impressed with Parramatta's defence in the first half. It was a 7-6 scoreline. the field goal to Manly before half time, and I thought the defence was really strong by both sides. But what Parramatta delivered in that first half, especially in attack as well, they just played so straight. You notice their forwards were going through the middle, and I felt like Ronald Volkman is really. I knew he was a decent little player. I didn't realise he had this sort of talent. His try-saving tackle on Ruben Garrick was good. There is some sort of confidence in Parramatta, which is hard to explain at the moment. I don't think they're a bottom two team. I think they've shown that with the injuries they have had, they will compete every week, and that will help them win games throughout this season. Unfortunately, I don't think they'll make the top 8, but I can see them winning this game. I can see the Warriors. They've been in fine form, but I could see them dropping a game or two here and there. Interesting to see what they do with Luke Metcalf, who has been named on the interchange bench in this game. Going to be interesting to see what they do with him, whether they start him in the halves. Personally, I wouldn't. I think Chanel Harris-Tavita and Tanner Boyd have been so impressive, not just in attack, but watch closely this weekend Chanel Harris-Tavita's defence. He is dead set, one of the best defenders I've seen in the halves for many, many years, and I think he's up there in the top 3 best defenders of the competition in the NRL. It is so underrated, and I can't believe it hasn't been spoken about. Credit to the New Zealand Warriors and what they've been able to achieve, but even Joash Papali'i at fullback for the Parramatta Eels, I think he's a really elite little player there, and I've got no doubt that the Parramatta Eels will be hard to beat. Even their backline, Will Pinasini, Sean Russell, Josh Adokar. Sean Russell's been impressive for them when he's played. I just think I don't know. I just think Parramatta get the job done. Then I'm going a few upsets this week. Not for the sake of it, because I genuinely believe a few upsets will win. I don't know. I just think the Parramatta Eels are just a feeling in me waters, Kel. So I think. Sorry, I've been watching Kath and Kim at the moment. I should edit that out. Anyway, next game. Saturday, May the 2nd at Allianz Stadium. Great show, Kath and Kim, by the way. Fuck, it's funny. Mate, Kel and Kath doing that Irish dance, and I was watching that with my wife, Rebecca, the other day. I was just crying from laughter. I hadn't seen a lot of episodes for about 10 or 15 years, but my God, it is like Aussie classic, that show. It is so good. All right, May the 2nd at Allianz Stadium. The Roosters and the Broncos. I'm going to go the Chooks in this game. I think the Roosters win. I could see this game going into Golden Point. The Broncos have been up. They've done really well the last couple of weeks. They have Patrick Carrigan coming back into the side. Reece Walsh has been named to start in this game. I'll be interested and very intrigued to see whether or not he'll actually play in this game. There are whispers around rugby league at the moment, the last 24 hours, that he will not play. I think it was on Joel and Fletch on the SEN yesterday. One of the team lists producers suggested that he's heard whispers about Reece Walsh possibly not actually playing in this game. Whether or not Madge is playing silly buggers, I'm not sure. But if he does not play in this game, Hayes Perham has done a great job for the Broncos over the last couple of weeks. So expect him to start at fullback. I really like what Reece Walsh. I know he's had the cheekbone fracture and he's been out now for about 4 or 5 weeks, but I love what he's going to bring to this side as well. I mean, they've played so well without him, but I think it's really good for him too to just rest his body up the last 4 or 5 weeks. I think that's going to do him and the Broncos a whole lot of good come halfway through the point and the back end of the season. Going to be really interesting to see how he goes. But I genuinely love what the Broncos are about at the moment. I think it's going to be. I think they'll have a loss in this game. I just think the Roosters middles will get them. Payne Haas. I think if Haas was playing in this game, I think the Broncos get it done. But I think his inclusion will be pretty noticeable. I think he's not his inclusion. His him being out of the side will be noticeable against the forward pack of the Sydney Roosters, Lindsay Collins, Nafahu White, and Victor Radley. I think. I think they're going to get the job done, the Chooks, in a really, really close one. My prediction will be a Daly Cherry Evans field goal in Golden Point. That's what I'll go. I think the Roosters win this in a really, really tight game of football. And the first game, Sunday ticket, you can catch this on Fox League and KO Sports. The Newcastle Knights playing at McDonald Jones Stadium against the South Sydney Rabbitohs. In this game, am going to go the Knights. I think I've as every game I've gone an upset. I genuinely, I'm not just saying this because I think I want to tip upsets and make it exciting. I genuinely think that these teams will win. I love the inclusion of Kalen Ponga back into the side. Fletcher Sharp back to 6. I know he was a bit quiet last week, but the most important inclusion and the reason I am tipping Newcastle this week is Dylan Lucas. I think he is going to be absolutely sensational in this game, and I didn't expect him to come back so quickly. So I'm going the Knights in this game. I love what Souths have been doing. I think they've been honestly behind Penrith, the best team to watch. I think it's hard to split who can win the comp at the moment between Penrith, Brisbane, and South Sydney. I'd have them as a definite premiership winning threat. The Tigers, I don't have them as a premiership winning threat, but I definitely can see them making the finals. I genuinely love what the Knights have done to start the year. I understand they were very disappointing against Penrith last week, but I think they would have learnt a lot more, say, if they versed the Dragons. No disrespect, Dragons fans, but I just think that they're going to learn a lot more after that loss against Penrith than, say, what Souths did against Melbourne. And that's no disrespect to Souths as well. But I just think that, if you come against the Dragons and you beat the Dragons, or if you come against Penrith and you lose to the Penrith Panthers, I think I'm just using as, say, Manly taking on the Dragons, say if they take on the Dragons in a few weeks and Manly win that, but then they lose to Penrith this week, then I think Manly are going to learn a lot more out of that loss against the top-tiered side than against the Dragons at where they currently are at the moment. I think teams can get plenty out of losses against the Penrith Panthers at the moment. The amount of video and homework that will be done on where they went wrong in that game, I think they'll learn plenty out of it and take it into a sold-out crowd at McDonald Jones Stadium. So South Sydney, as good as they've been, I just think the Knights get the job done in this one. Going to be really interesting to see how both sides go in this game. Tallis Duncan, Cameron Murray, they've been absolutely fantastic. Latrell Mitchell is doing Latrell Mitchell things. He is a centre. Great to see Matt Duffy come back into the NRL and play like he's playing at the moment. It's been absolutely fantastic to watch. The next game is Sunday at 4:05 p.m. at Ocean Protect Stadium. I'm going to go the Cronulla Sharks in this game. No Jareen Buller, no Apisai Coruscant. It's going to be a sold-out Shark Park, Ocean Protect Stadium, I should say. What was it back in the day? I think when I was a kid, I think it was called Toyota Park. Yeah, Toyota Stadium, Toyota Park. Let me know, Sharks fans in the comments, what it was called. I think it was Toyota Park. What was the New Zealand Warriors? That was Ericsson Stadium in the mid 2000s. Brookvale Oval was Brookvale Oval. Leichhardt Oval. Dairy Farmers Stadium, that was a great one in Townsville. That was great. Anyway, back to this game. I think the Sharks win, and I could actually see this being a big scoreline. Sorry, Tigers fans, as good as Tigers have been. I just think the noise about Jerome Luai. I watched a press conference with Luai. Well, it wasn't a press conference, but an interview with Jerome Luai and Benji Marshall, and they looked actually quite emotionally exhausted. And I think that will. I think the teammates may feel a little bit exhausted after the recent news. The injuries. The injury to Jareen Buller with the shoulder isn't good at all. He's just so creamy, like having apple pie on a Sunday. He's just so fantastic. That was some weird shit from Gus, wasn't it? When he said that, I was just watching it going, this is quite sexual, and I don't really know. I was watching the game and I heard his commentary and I didn't really know where to look. It was I felt awkward on my lounge, yeah, anyway, he is such a fantastic. I don't know why I used his reference in there just then. I'm just thinking, well, if it was, why'd you use it just then? But yeah, no, I genuinely think the Sharks win this. I could see this being 13 plus. Sorry, Tigers fans. I think as good as they've been, as I mentioned, I just think I think it could be quite ugly for the Tigers this week. Unfortunately, I think the Cronulla Sharks. Sifa Talakai, I expect him to score at least a couple of tries in this game. I think Will Kennedy, he's been impressive, hasn't he? He's off contract at the end of the year. There's been whispers whether or not he'll go to the Perth Bears. He could end up at Papua New Guinea. But if I'm Cronulla, I'd probably re-sign him on a young one deal. They had young Cade Dykes at the club, but he was very injury prone. He did an ACL, I believe, a couple of years ago, and he's now signed at Canterbury. So their fullback, I just think Will Kennedy he's not that superstar fullback, but he just does so much. He's like a Connor Tracy where he's heavily involved, does so much of the behind the scenes work. In other words, work that we don't necessarily see. I think a lot of us fans see the tries and the try assists and the line breaks and all that, but his defensive players in that fullback position, I think, have been really impressive so far in the opening 8 weeks of they've only played 7 games of 8 weeks over the last couple of months of the competition this year. I've got the Sharks winning this. I really like Cameron McInnes starting back in that number 13 jersey. Just his leadership to start the field alongside Blake Brayley. Brayley will have the captain next to his name. He'll have the C next to his name, but I think Cam McInnes is certainly the co-captain of this side as well. I think he's going to do a terrific job. Jesse Colquhoun and Billy Burns back to the bench. So going to be great to see what they do there. I think the Sharks are in for a really good, terrific Sunday afternoon this week at Ocean Protect Stadium. And the final game of the round is between the Penrith Panthers and the Manly Sea Eagles. Every week just a bloke in a bar. Every week I have tipped Manly. I can't do it this week. I'm sorry. I think Penrith win. I think Manly will be up for the fight, but I could see Penrith winning this game anywhere from about 12 to 20 points. I just think they are so relentless, and as good as Fosball has been, as good as Manly have been, I just genuinely don't think they have the class in the squad at the moment to be able to get this Penrith Panthers side. And I want to give a shout out to a local junior in the Manly Warringah Junior Rugby League, to Freddie Lussick, who played for the club I played for, the Beacon Hill Bears. I think what he's done since Mitch Kenny came off with that injury a couple of weeks ago in Darwin, I think he's really done a good job. Big shoes to fill. Mitch Kenny, a 2-time premiership winning hooker. Of course, he's won more premierships than that, but as a starting hooker in 23 and 24, Api Coruscant was a hooker in 21 and 22. I think huge shoes to fill. I think he's going to be absolutely terrific for them. And if I'm the Panthers, I'll probably re-sign Freddie Lussick. He's a good 14. He's a good utility. He's not a superstar, but his service from dummy half and his defense is strong. He also has this great ability to scoot from dummy half and score a try. He's just a bit of an old school hooker, which I love. I remember there was a game he played for the Roosters against the Panthers. I think it was back in 2023 or 2022, and it was a semi-final, and he was starting hooker for the Roosters in that game, and he scored the first try of that semi. He's got some talent, Freddie Lussick, and as a Beacon Hill Bear myself, I want to give a shout out to Freddie and his family. The Lussicks have done a great job blooding Darcy, Joey, Freddie. So good on them. Great to see. I think Penrith will get Manly in this game, unfortunately, as hard as that is to say. So that is the round 9 tips. So look, I'd be happy to get 6 out of 8, but I think I've gone about 5 out of 8 upsets in this game. In this round, I think I'd be happy to get 6 out of 8 in this round. Anything under that, I find is unacceptable for the Diamond Dogs, which is my tipping name competition. I'm really nervous for this round. I think it's going to be real. It's just a hard round to pick. I reckon this is probably the hardest round to pick so far. Like all upsets can win. Like genuinely, of course, the Dragons have the bye this week. Congratulations to them for getting the 2 points. No, I'm only joking. I know how you feel. The first 4 weeks for Manly were brutal. Manly had the bye in round 3. I just remember being so relieved after that Newcastle game that they had the bye and getting the 2 points. So if you love what you're hearing, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Rugby League Forecast Podcast. Please follow the page on Instagram and on Facebook. That is Rugby League Forecast Podcast. And if you haven't done so already, please follow me on Spotify, Rugby League Forecast Podcast, and on Apple Podcasts. It really helps me out, guys. The last week I've had a massive boost in numbers of people listening and watching the podcast, and I'm very grateful for that. And I don't take that for granted, that people want to listen to me talk about the game I love more than anything, rugby league. It's a huge part of my life, and to to talk about the greatest game of all is just such a privilege. I really appreciate the support. So thank you very much. So that is the round 9 tips. Good luck with your tipping this round. Remember, guys, try and aim for 6 out of 8. If you're going to win your big tipping competitions, lots of prize money on offer, lots of trophies with your premiership names engraved on them, lots to... a lot of people take tipping comps seriously like I do. I take them very, very seriously. I hate losing. I absolutely hate it, but it makes it so special and so exciting as well. So the tipping competitions are fantastic. 6 out of 8, guys, is what we need. That's what we need to aim for every week. Under that is, almost like your side not getting the 2 points for the week. You want at least 6 out of 8. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you next week for the round 9 review. Enjoy your rugby league.